Good evening and welcome to your Friday night podcast live here on Four Lads Had a Dream. My name is Andrew and I am joined tonight by one of my very favourite podders, Calvin. How you doing, my man? All good?
All good, mate. It's Friday. Disappointment last night, but as we said, all focus now shifts to the league. We knew we were standing before last night, and now priority, bring that league title home. That's all we can say, isn't it?
100%. And yeah, I'm in a relatively good mood tonight, despite, we're talking about a loss effectively, right? But as you said, we knew exactly where we were going to be after this game, as we did beforehand. The Europa League was done and dusted before Danny Roll even got in the building. So we know where we were. It is disappointing to lose. We'll go through the game in a little bit more detail, but suffice to say, we didn't learn a lot from it. We got beat by a really good team, but we could have done better. But we are going to move on and we're going to focus on Hibs because ultimately, even the players have said, we should have 15 games left for the season. We win those, something very special will happen, especially given where we were, say, October time this season. So we'll go through Porto briefly. Just a quick word, first of all. Amarit's vlog went live at 6 a.m. this morning-ish after, I fell asleep waiting for him to upload it. When he did upload it, I was already in bed. And then I woke up this morning and did some editing because I sent him the wrong intro and then uploaded it. So apologies to everyone who was expecting it last night. There's a lot of blame to go around. I'd say, maybe 75% of it is on me, maybe 25% of it's on Amarit. But as you know, he's discussed on the vlog, and as we've heard elsewhere as well, there was really poor treatment of the fans, being kept in for hours after the game. We are not the other side of the city. There weren't 4 policemen injured as a result of our away fans, but we still saw that poor treatment. It's good the club are looking into it. Ultimately, I don't know how much of it will happen because it is not the first time we've seen this, Calvin. Foreign police getting heavy-handed, especially with British football fans, and really disappointed that happened, and that some folk were just left stranded, effectively trapped for no real reason, as far as we can tell.
Yeah, it just seems to be using the history rather than using what's happening in front of them at the time. Seen Armit's comments this morning. It's a disgrace. Like, if there's no reason for them to do it, fans are behaving fine. They're waiting for their transport out of the stadium. There's no reason for them to be held back. There's no reason to be treated with the rumours that have kind of been bandied around this morning. The club needs to be strong against it. We know the way certain things happen that it normally falls on deaf ears, but they need to be vocal and raise it for the fans because that's what matters. The fans travel in large numbers, regardless of where the games are. And they deserve to be treated with a bit of respect. And that's something that we've seen time and time again, where there is zero respect when we go into Europe for nights like this.
Yeah. Football's ultimately meant to be for fans, right? I know ultimately it's not because UEFA need to make their money. But on the face of it, at least, it's meant to be for the fans. The fact that they seem to be one of the last considerations when it comes to these games and how they are treated during it is always going to be a disappointment. Thoughts and prayers as well from everyone at Four Lads go out to the family of the fan who travelled out and unfortunately didn't come home. You never want to see that. That's always a heartbreaker. We can only wish the very best to you guys. It's a horrible thing to be dealing with, and thoughts are absolutely with you. So let's go through the Porto game, Calvin. Having watched it back this afternoon while working very hard, obviously, on a Friday night. What was interesting is that that opening sort of 10, 15-minute spell, we looked, similar to how I expect Rangers to look in European football. We managed to get on the front foot early. A really well-worked goal with Finlay Curtis throwing in a delightful cross for the gas man. Good header. I think the defence of Porto don't really know how to react to it. They're almost surprised that that's happening to them. Maybe that's down to the fact that they have been, on a run where they've only lost once their entire season so far. But then, unfortunately, I think the rest of that first half, it does look quite worrying as things threaten to fall in. We'll talk through the goal first, Calvin, because I'd like to dwell on the positives before we ramp up into the negatives. So yeah, what did you make of that? I mean, really good to see from Finley Curtis. We'll discuss his situation later, but I think it's just a really well worked goal.
Yeah, good pressure for the team. They set up strong. They didn't let Porto out. The keeper kind of played into the gap. And then probably Tavernier's only good contribution last night is when he pressed the defender into passing it back through. Curtis, really good delivery. It seems to be one of his shining lights. He's good at striking the ball towards goal, but time and time again, his delivery's pretty much on the button, puts it into a dangerous area. Gasman, didn't expect him to have the header like that, but it's a really nice bounce, and Badrek had no kind of option with it. He put his leg out, it just bounced right over it, and it found the far side corner. There's not really much else you can say in terms of going wrong with that. It's just a nice team goal with the right pressure, and the setup looked strong to start with. And then...
yeah. You did the agenda, Calvin, tonight, which I'm very grateful for, because I've had to rely on London trains to get me home. Do that, right? You just put defensive mistakes cost us. The fact how many times we could have put that into our agenda, especially the first half of this season.
It was easy to keep it as that statement because we're pretty sure we know what they all are.
Right, exactly, yeah. But yeah, it's same old story, unfortunately. I mix up at the back between Tav and Butland for, I think, their second. That's probably the most egregious one. I think the first one's a decent bit of quality, although we could do better.
He just hits it right back into the danger space. Something you're taught from young age do not do. Obviously, rush of the moment, he's just tried to get and intercept the ball, but just put your legs through it and put empty it.
100%. Yeah. There is that tendency, I think, in all areas of the pitch where we want to try and do something a bit fancier. Sometimes
a little bit after just the pressure. That's what I felt anyway.
Yeah. And again, comes back to Porto are a really good side. You can tell just from their European campaign, let alone their own league campaign, where they've been extremely dominant. But nonetheless, it shouldn't excuse the basics. We talked kind of the reverse side of the coin in terms of the goal that Asgard scored from the free kick, where it doesn't matter what level of opposition, it was a really good goal to score. But by the same token, those are really easy defensive mistakes to cut out. So it works both ways, unfortunately. One positive, I think, was that Fernandez tackle, which was, he's really grown into a good defensive player. It's odd to be talking about that after he's part of a defense that's conceded 3 goals. But it was really positive to see that, that effort tracking back and throwing in a really good last-ditch tackle to cut out a goal-scoring opportunity. And then the recovery in the second half, as you've said, Calvin, we go into that, and while Porto are inevitably going to let off the gas a little bit and not want to overexert themselves, neither did they really, turn it into a cricket score or anything like that. I think we were able to, manage the rest of the game. Some of that, I think, comes from starting with the defensive team, but also having, the ability to make some changes off the bench. Some of those, I think, for sure, with Sunday in mind, as we'll come on to. And yeah, we finally just come to Roll's comments at the end saying that all focus now shifts to the league, which it absolutely should. We knew where we were going to be coming into this. I don't know about you, but coefficient points aren't ever going to get my blood pumping. It all comes down to where you finish in the league at the end of the season anyway. So that's going to be the important thing. But yeah, your take on the rest of the game, mate. How we ended up in the end.
Yeah, as you said, defensive mistakes, really, really poor. Magoma's clearance, there was probably a few more in the lead up to that as well. Tav Butland's, I don't even know if we can say it was total miscommunication, because Tav slips, he's tried to knock it back in to an extent, tried to block the defender, Butland's came rushing out. All I could think about that moment was, what? Like, be strong, take the ball, you're the keeper. It bobbles up over him. It was a bit of real embarrassment to see at the time. But as I said, it didn't really affect too much else after it. We were going to be in the same position regardless. And Butland's been one of our shining lights this year, let's be honest. He's made some major saves in big moments, so we can forgive him on this one. The Fernandez header can happen to anybody. You go up, you try and win the header, it comes off you in the wrong direction. But as Daniel said, let's not focus on that. We've had some really big performances leading up to that. As he said, it's very different what happened in Club Brugge, where everything just totally collapsed after it. they showed a good bit of recovery in the second half. Somebody I was impressed with out with the box was Chermiti. His work rate was very, very good in the second half. His link-up play, he had a couple of bits of skill to get him away from defenders sometimes. But once again, across that front line, decision-making was very poor. Not getting the shots off, the extra pass or the extra touch that then meant the pass couldn't happen. We've seen that time and time again. I really hope it's something we can affect very quickly, because if they can get the passes away quicker into the runners, we'll turn teams over a lot quicker. We'll make it harder for them to defend, and it's something we need to see change really, really quickly. I know we've focused on league titles are won on defences. That's what we seem to be building upon just now. Get the 3 points up the road, but there's going to be times where we really need to show that bit of quality in front of goal. Hopefully, this is something they can take in. Make the decisions quicker. Make defenders make decisions. Make keepers work. That's my 3 big points when it comes to attacking. If you can get those things nailed, your attacking changes so much, and it's something that we need to see happen into this league running.
Yeah, I think it's clear from that, knowing that obviously that Euro squad does not contain a full reflection of our current squad right now. And obviously one of the players who had a major impact for our goal as well, potentially is coming out the door as well. But let's run through that transfer news, Calvin, because I think it's clear Rangers' business isn't quite done yet. I think that, we will at least be looking to get one more body in the door. I don't know if there's a chance of any more. We shall see. But we've got plenty of names to link, so let's just run through a few of them. Ryan Nadiri, there's rumours of another approach this morning, but that relies on an appointment being found for him. And by the same token, Joel Pirro, the link because of Leeds is always going to be there. Strand Larson going to Leeds rather than Palace, that could change that as well. So going to be interesting to see what happens with those two. But with those two being looked at, I think the couple of the transfers we're going to talk about next are going to be dependent on those. So, yeah.
Yeah, so there was a bit of digging there because Strand Larson was linked with Palace originally, and it seems to be Leeds are the team that are hanging around him the most. The reports down south for Joe Piore wants to fight for his place, but if Leeds have another striker in the door, that then becomes harder for him. That's when that transfer can open up. Similar to what the situation with Ryan Naderi is. Rostock have pretty much said, if we don't have another striker, we don't want to lose him. They're happy to wait to the summer. We need a striker. And I think that's where the next rumour comes in, as you're going to highlight. But if we can get one of them in the door, it changes things up really, really well. Like Piore's a real goal scorer. Naderi would look like a real goal scorer and somebody that can link up the play as well. He seems to have a little bit of everything. Obviously, German third division. We don't know how that responds into a league, but we've got to trust the scouting system. Like, you can find gems everywhere, and they seem to be very much chasing this boy. So I'm confident that they're going to come out with the results with it. But they said we've put them into a position where the player wants to come to us. The cards are now in his hand. The club will try to find somebody, and if we get the right money involved, all signs are pointing he could be a Rangers player.
Yeah, for sure. As you said, we got 2 other rumours floating about. The Danilo to NEC still looks most likely. Paphos is still hanging around as well, looking for a transfer as opposed to a loan. I think where we sit right now, despite big Andrew Kavanagh wanting to splash some money about, I do not think that he'll sanction the idea of us having 4 strikers in the building, even if we might say, quietly and privately, because some of them might hurt us, that the 3 of them combined might make one fairly decent striker. So you might have 3 bodies there, but, I don't know if you've got one complete striker there. But yeah, I think of the 3 of them, Danilo is the one who I think has shown the least since Danny Roll's come in, certainly. Miovski's had his moments. Admittedly, most of them have come against lower tier opposition. Chermiti, I think, has earned some credit in the bank from the old firm. And as you say, still demonstrating some of that link-up play in Porto as well. Danilo's the odd one out. But again, I think it comes down to if he goes, then I think the idea of us getting him a striker becomes much more straightforward. And we've heard today Cameron Archer has also been linked, who I believe is another goal scorer as well. So again, we know that these links are hanging around, and and represent that potential. Going to be interesting to see what happens. It's certainly going to be a busy couple of days because I don't think the window closes until Monday at midnight. So we've got we've got a bit of time to go before all that happens.
Yeah, it's the major domino effect, isn't it? You're just waiting for one transfer to happen, and then that unleashes everything else, and that can go against you, it can go for you. So we're waiting, obviously, for Danilo to go. We're wanting somebody else in the door potentially to get straight to that squad because we know where the weaknesses lie. For everything that's said about Danilo, the scary thing is he's probably the best finisher out of the three. When he gets his chance, he tends to score them. The problem with Danilo is, one, his fitness in general, but he's been not too bad lately, but it's his influence in games. He's just probably not suited to play in the SPL. That's the harsh reality of it. He's got good movement. He can link up, play well in the 10. He's a good finisher, but he goes missing for large spells, and you probably know within the first 5 minutes how his day is going to go. And he's not really getting the opportunities that the other two have had. Plus, he's on a massive wage. That's the reality of it. He's on a huge wage. We spent a lot of money to bring him in here. We do need to start shifting some bodies out the door. Yes, we have that money sitting from Kavanagh and co, but we still need to be a smart business in the terms of the football club. We need to get players out so we can have players available without breaking the wage structure, essentially, is where we're at just now.
Yeah. It's not a bottomless pit, unfortunately, much as I wish it were. Football Manager, just hack in and give yourself infinite money. Unfortunately, exactly, yeah. Unfortunately, can't do that in this one. So in terms of a couple of other players who are currently with the squad right now, or at least with the team, Finlay Curtis, the Killie, hasn't gone away. I think the suspicion was we were waiting until the Euro campaign finished before he went out. It will be interesting to see if he has done something to change the manager's mind on that. We saw when Ant-Man came on as a replacement for him, how ineffectual he was in comparison, I think, to Finlay Curtis. For me, Finlay Curtis is our player. Who's come up through the youth development. I would like to see us starting to develop that. Ultimately, for a good youth development system, that's exactly what you want to be doing. Seeing your players going through, you develop them, and then, eventually, way down the line after he's won, Europa League with us and, a couple of Scottish Cup medals, a couple of League Cup medals, a couple of league medals, then he can go out on a massive transfer fee. That'd be fine. But you've got to balance that against game time. Is he going to play, especially with Skov Olsen in front of him right now? Because I think, on paper at least, that's where it's going to be. Ant-Man, I don't think is going to be the player to displace him, but I think Skov Olsen is. So that may be just what the manager wants to think about in terms of getting him some game time. And on the flip side, players we may want to see go out of the door. Joe Rothwell not travelling with the squad for Hibs. That suggests he's close to a move. And again, I think, as we've spoken about on a few of the pods earlier in this month, the players who, let's say, we're less enthused about are probably the ones who are likely to go out towards the end of the transfer window because no one wants to pick up their wages for no reason. If clubs are patient enough, they can get them a little bit cheaper and paying out less money than they would necessarily need to. I think Joe Rothwell fits into that category, at least as far as we're concerned. And it makes sense that, if he's close to a move, that he's not travelling with the squad. It's unfortunately just not worked out for him at all, Calvin.
Yeah, just going back to Finlay Curtis, like you said, it's somebody we want to have available. But if he isn't going to play much between now and the end of the season because the body's in front, he is at an age where he needs to play first-team football. I think he's been really good since he came out the squad. I think he's very effective. I think he offers a lot that other people don't. His directness, his shots at goal. He's one of the ones I talk about people make decisions. But if he isn't going to play, he's better being somewhere where he can develop for the next 6 months. And I think you'll probably find if the likes of Ant-Man are still there, because of where they are in terms of the structure, they need to be still an asset for us. That's me putting the business head on. But in terms of a fan, Finlay Curtis has influenced a lot more games than them. So for me, he would stay. But understand from a development point of view, he needs to play football. And that's where we're at with him. Ant-Man last night when he came on, I didn't think he was that bad, to be honest. I don't know if that's a bit scary. I thought
I agree. But for me,
missing. That's where we're at with him, though. It's similar.
For me, Calvin, I think it's just down to Finlay Curtis represents more.
Yeah.
On that right hand side. Nothing against that man, but of the two, who I'd rather pick.
Yeah.
I know who I'm going for,
Yeah, just as I said, I think if it needs to be development, Curtis getting first team football can be massive for next season, and that's something you need to consider as well. If he gets another 4 or 5 months of first team football, he can come into a really dangerous player. And Neil McCann knows him, he'll be able to coach him in the right way. He played his position essentially. It's something that could be good for him as a player. Joe Rothwell, just leave. Like, that's where we're at with him. You're on crazy money. You came in late to pre-season, never looked fit to start with, looks unfitter now. He had a 20-minute cameo where he looked a half-decent player, but he's nothing to what we thought. We were getting an all-action midfielder, box-to-box, free-kick specialist, corner specialist, can strike. But he's been dross. Like, he's really disappointing, and you can see, attitude-wise, there's a reason why he's not around that squad. Danny Rowe's reinvigorated a lot of players and since he's came in the door. And if Joe Rothwell isn't in those plans, it just tells you what he's like at the training ground, in my opinion.
No, I think that's fair. When you are being displaced by Connor Barron, who was a free transfer, somebody who's shown immense amounts of effort, I don't necessarily think that Connor Barron is the most skillful player, but what I will always credit him for is the effort that he puts in. He runs about like a mental case. It's fantastic to see. And it's showing that passion, showing that effort, right? Which Joe Rothwell has never really done that for me.
No.
Ever. And he's had ample opportunity to do so as well. So yeah, thanks, Joe. All the best. No hard feelings, but go away now, please. Thank you. So let's move on to Easter Road this Sunday. We know that Hibs are going to represent a challenge. They always do. But I think we are getting them at a relatively decent time. Bowie, I think, as last reports, was doing his medical at Verona. So I would say he's away. I think it's unlikely that they do get a replacement in. And even if they do, it's going to be a replacement. It's that unknown quantity. So they lose an attacking threat up top. And I think that our record against Hibs has generally been pretty good. I can't remember the exact stat, and I don't want to say it out loud in case it jinxes the whole thing horribly. But suffice to say, I feel relatively confident about how we have performed against them in recent games. In terms of the squad, Calvin, I'm not sure what changes you're expecting to see from that. Looking at the team that started against Porto versus what you'd expect the team to be against Hibs, how many changes are you seeing for that?
I reckon Scott Wilson will be back in the side. As I say, I don't think he'll change too much. I think you might see Suter coming back into the team if he's available. I don't think Giga was that bad last night. I think he's actually growing a bit of confidence, but I think in terms of experience next to Fernandes, Suter tends to guide him through the game a lot better. Sterling was obviously training with the team. Is he fit and ready? Possibly not, but I reckon he'll be in the squad. The left back seems to have picked up a lot of minutes in training lately, so I wouldn't be surprised if you maybe see a swap there if he wants to go a bit more attacking, especially with Magoma coming off at half time after his mistake. But same again, I think Magoma's been really good in the league lately. I think he's been one of the most improved players under Danny Rowe in terms of what his performances is. I think it'll be much the similar. Chikwani might come back in. I thought he was really good cameo last week. He was good box to box, but you bring up comments now. I thought Chikwani was good last week. He was offered that bit of dynamic from midfield, going about. He went beyond. Unlucky not to have his goal. So that's where I could see a couple of changes. Freshen the midfield up a wee bit. The legs were starting to get heavy. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tav drop out again. I thought he looked a bit off it, way off it on Thursday night. He was really struggling to get back at defence, but we've seen it Easter Road before. Tav's got quite a good record up there, so he might stay in the team. But as we've seen, Danny Rowe hasn't been afraid to take him out.
Mm-hmm.
Arms
and I think,
yeah, on you go.
No, I was going to say, I think that's been a really good thing to see because I think Tav's been a fantastic servant for the club. I do still think he has something to offer. But by the same token, this kind of phasing out should have been happening 2-3 seasons ago, I think. At least 2 seasons ago, where you just start to see him reduce the minutes and start giving him a break. The problem is we just haven't had anyone to displace him. I still don't think we have anyone in who properly displaces him yet. Sterling, if he was fit. Aarons, if he could pass the ball forward. But unfortunately, we don't have either of those. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. But certainly, I probably think we do shift away from the three at the back, which effectively we started with. Chukwani, I think, will come back into the midfield. Scott Olsen, I agree with as well. But beyond that, I kind of agree with you. I think Suter comes into that defense as well. I think it's a coin flip, with Makoma and the new left back. I'm absolutely with you. Although I've gone on about it continuously that we desperately needed a new left back, it wasn't because I don't rate Makoma. I think he's been a really good player. I'm just absolutely paranoid that he is going to get himself injured, and then we're completely screwed without a left wing, a left back. So, yeah, it's all about just having, as Danny Roller says, two players in every position. Jamiti, I think, is the one that stays in that as well as a striker. I think for everything that he can offer, he works with that. And you would hope Gassama on the left, even maybe someone like an Asgard in the 10, and then or Mikey Moore maybe, and then Scott Olsen on the right. That gives you a lot more attacking prowess, and you would hope that starts working together, creating those opportunities for Jamiti to put in the back of the net and make Easter Rose miserable. That's what we want. That's what we want. So exactly, yes. So yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens with that. I think, as we said at the top of the show, all focus has to come to the league now. We can't get too bogged down with Europe. We can't get the loss. We can't let that dwell on us. We have an opportunity here to, I think, become the team with the best unbeaten streak in the league this season if we win tomorrow.
Breaking news. Finlay Curtis has just joined Kelly for the rest of the season on loan.
Okay, well, there we go. Doesn't matter what we want to think about it. That's what's happened. So there we go. Hey, I mean, that's obviously why we decided to run the pod later, because we definitely knew that was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I as we've said, I think it makes sense. It's the game time thing, right? It's always going to come down to that. So, yeah, I think it's a good move for him. I think Neil McCann is the right coach for him as well, and I think that will prove to be a good move for him. My hope is he comes back and he can cement himself on that right wing as well. We'll get Scott Olsen as well for the 10 million. And then we've got two players for that position. Easy.
I like your tactic.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, okay, cool. That probably cements that. Then he's probably not going to be playing this weekend for us at least. So yeah, I mean, I would like to think we can carry that league form on into this one as well. We have shown again in the Scottish Premier League we can be quite resilient defensive wise. We've got joint top defensive record in the league, along with Motherwell. And I think I would like to see us continue that. It comes down to defenses are the thing that win your leagues. Goals will come eventually. We do manage to get them, but getting a goal is no good if you leak 5 the other direction. So making sure we've got that solid foundation, making sure we build on that. Suter comes in, and I think that keeps that back door locked.
Yep.
And then it's all about taking your chances. We know what Hibs can do. We know that they will be a danger, but I think if we turn up, we can absolutely go on and win this, and then see what happens elsewhere in the league.
Yeah, I think one of the big things for me in terms of defensive record is we've had a lot of issues at the back. We've had a lot of chop and changing out with the left back position in general, and Daniel's got them working. Doesn't matter the combinations we've got at the back, who swaps in, who swaps out. If we're swapping kind of formation, we're doing really well at stopping the goals. Butland's been good with some really big moments. Let's be honest about it. Teams have got at us, and he has made some really big saves at key times. But in general, we've been very good defensively. Fernandez is coming into his own, and there's a reason why these big teams are now starting to sniff around him already. Hands off, you can't get him. It's not happening. But the team's gelling really well, and something that I've noticed, especially when we're scoring goals in games, there's a lot of team spirit there now. Like, they all fight for each other, and that wasn't happening under Russell Martin a few months ago. There was nobody fighting for each other at that stage. They didn't look like they were friends off the park, friends on the park. They didn't look like a team. There's a real team spirit about them just now, and it's grit against the teeth here. They're doing really well, and they're fighting for every point that they get, which is massive for me. Something that we've missed for a wee while here.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that, man. I think you can't take anything away from what Danny Roll has managed to do, especially with a squad that, as I keep coming back to, in October, we looked like we would be lucky to make the top 6 of the split. Yeah. The fact that we've gone on this run now, we've got second place. Hopefully we can continue this weekend and keep solidifying that, build on from there and look to push to the first. Then I want to see that from us.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful. I don't know for sure because Stevie's buggered off on his holidays at perfect time. We don't know for sure in terms of the transfer business, but I would be very surprised if we are completely done for this transfer window. Yeah. I suspect that we will have some more activity before this window slams shut, I think, to use the appropriate parlance. So, yeah, we shall see how things go, Calvin. But it has been a pleasure talking to you, my friend. Always love to get together on a Friday night. Have a good time.
Thanks for having me on, mate. A little bit later than normal, but I think we've managed to time it well with the Curtis news. As I said, the transfer dominoes are about to drop, so things could happen really quick over the next 36 to 48 hours.
100%. Obviously, stay tuned, keep in touch, and stay subscribed. We will get all breaking news out to you. We will, I think, be doing some kind of post-match after the Hibs game. In fact, no, we won't, because the Sunday show will be live pretty much straight afterwards. So Scotty, I think Cheryl, and all the rest of the usual crew will be on Sunday. They'll also keep you guys up to date with the latest transfer dealings. And then Monday, I will be hosting the big show with, I believe, Amrit, fresh off his travels, and Davey. So hanging out with a couple of baldies on a Monday night. Fun does not stop over here at Four Lads Towers. So, folks, it has been a pleasure talking to you all. I want to quickly thank our sponsors, Rhino Express, Clyview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, CSD Air Conditioning, Amrit over at Candide, local dart shop online, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you so much to the sponsors. We appreciate everything that they do for us. They help us generate this content, but the other big thing that helps us generate this content, help us keep bringing all these pods to you, is the support that you guys show. Even if you're just liking and subscribing, or if you're signed up as a membership, sign up for a membership, brother, which you can do with that QR code right there. Always first time with that. I ain't no Stevie. Sign up and you'll get exclusive ad-free podcasts. You'll also get little interviews, little exclusives that we run. Everything does eventually go out to everyone. But if you want to get the first run at some of the more interesting bits of content that we do, some of the stuff that requires a bit more work than just me pressing the go live button on StreamYard and hanging out with Calvin, then please tune in. You can check that out and join us. It's a wonderful community with over 700 people now. And I mean, it has been a while since I've done this, but also, most importantly, you get to use the stickers as well. And I mean, who wouldn't want to do a little Calvin up there? Who wouldn't want that? You can even get young Andrew there as well. Look at him. Adorable. So, yeah, you can tune in, get the stickers, and it's a good time. Come over and join us. Folks, I do want to thank you guys so much because there are over 2,000 of you watching over Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Always amazing to see the level of support that you guys give us. Again, blows me away every time. Thank you so much for everything you do. Stay tuned. Keep an eye on the socials. All the links are in the description below. Also want to plug the Northern Ireland show that we're going over to do in March. Myself and Calvin will be there. Hopefully we'll stay out of trouble. We've both never been to Northern Ireland, but I'm sure that won't cause any sort of issues whatsoever while we're over there having cultural experiences. Siege, I see you. Unfortunately, none of the stickers show up on StreamYard because it didn't cooperate with us, but I see you, man. I see you, and thank you. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you again. Calvin, my friend, as ever, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining me, mate. And cheers.
Thanks, Amazon. Nearly boy in the chat. He's waiting for his jumper, he says. So we'll make sure he gets on top of that when he comes back his holidays.
100%. Yeah, I'll chase him up. Don't worry. I love giving Stevie work to do when he's on his holidays. It's my favourite thing to do because he always does it for me. So why not return the favour? Folks, as ever, a pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until we talk to you again, bye for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.